Do a little garden walkthrough here on this beautiful Sunday morning. Showing you, let's see, right here's our flower bed. Some lantana, wildflowers, salvia. A beautiful dog. Rocks. Let's see, here's Danny. A row of peppers. Let's see, come back around this way. And let's see here, got 5 different kind of peppers here. Looking pretty healthy. About waist high here for the most part. A little bit on the leggy side. I'll do a different treatment next year when I do these. Green beans. Some nice, there's a few green beans in there. Been picking some of these in the last week or so. And we've got several potatoes here. These are kind of young, just getting started, so they're looking good though. Surprisingly, get out of my shadow here. Potatoes. And back over here, like I was showing. Get some rosemary, a little young rosemary. And our basil plants. Now the basil, I did a trim on those about 2 weeks ago. I pruned them down quite low, and you can see the cut down there, probably. And I probably should have taken them up 1 row higher than that. But that's all right, they're coming back nice. That gives them opportunity to bush out more than growing on a single stalk. So if you look behind here on these peppers, I should have done the same thing on those earlier on. You know, like about a month ago or even sooner than that, when I, a couple of weeks after I first planted them, to prune them at the 3rd course of leaves, and then they bush out. They put out more growth. Now the tomatoes, on the other hand, I want those to grow up tall, and I prune those to get the suckers off to keep them from becoming bushes. So it's sort of the opposite effect, and you can see what the result is here. They grow on 1 stalk, and then you train them to grow up the trellis, either by tying them off or just kind of weaving them through the openings in the trellis a little bit as they grow to get them to support themselves. So they're pretty good here. We've got a few tomatoes here, and the disease tends to be lesser on these and the insect damage, because you are taking off the lower leaves, the ones that sit on the ground, and then when the fruit and everything grows upright, and tend to get less fungus damage this way, is what I'm told. This is the first time me doing this, so we'll find out what the end result. And our blueberry bushes back here are doing what they always do. They get fungus on them and they don't do much of anything, but hopefully we'll nurture these through and keep from over-watering them. And next year we'll get some crop off them, maybe. This taller one here is a high bush. This one here, but anyway. And going back to the tomatoes, I did lose one of the 5 plants here. I had originally 5, but one just was curly leafed and looked like showing signs of stress. And so what I do is take cuttings off the remaining ones, and you can see I have them sitting in this cup of water. They're a little wilted because the sun is really hot right now, but they'll be fine. Put them in the cup of water for about a week, and they'll sprout little fine hairy roots. And then I transfer them into a starter pot here with some starter medium or soil, and just stick them in the pot. So couple days ago, I put these 3 into pots. And one of them looks, much healthier than the other. Once it's rooted into the soil medium, I'll plant it down there on the end of the row where I got rid of the one that wasn't healthy looking. So I can replace them that way. So if the insects do, if I lose another 1 or 2 insects or something, I've got some behind it to stick in the ground till the end of the season to maybe produce a few more tomatoes. So the cucumbers here growing on this trellis here are doing very well. They've got lots of flowers in here, as you can see, and got some little cukes here starting right there. And if you look carefully, I guess there's a few more. Here's another one right here. There's a bunch of new ones starting, little one there. A lot of flowers, nice growth. These are pruned again, like the tomatoes. Prune suckers, keep the main stalks growing up. Train them onto the trellis. Thin the foliage, keep the foliage off the ground as much as you can, and keep too much of it out so that there's enough to shade the fruit, but you don't want to start getting bug damage and stuff. So anyway, there's another small zucchini here. Oh, eggplant though. This is an eggplant here. And you see the flowers on it right there. It's pretty small. It's a little bit shaded by these cucumbers, and you can see the heat of the day right now. These cucumber leaves are even wilting a little bit, but it's really hot right now, and they do that every day, for a couple hours in the hottest part of the day. But so you can see the zucchini plant here next to here. The size of that thing, it takes up a lot of space. I'm not sure I'll be willing to give up that much space for a zucchini plant, and there's a lot of waste on those for the amount of fruit that we get off of it, so I'm not really sure that's my favorite crop. But hey, again, trying out things for the first time, and you can see these cucumbers are reached the top of the trellis already, and they'll just keep spreading out more onto the trellis, and I'll just keep thinning them out to make sure they don't get too packed in there. And then we get some sunflowers over here and potted plants. So flowers, we started these from seed earlier in the seed trays, earlier in the seed, and the lavender behind it. And a big rosemary here, a big old one that needs to be hacked back. And these sunflowers have done quite well here. Beautiful. I'll probably have to stake those here shortly, because next time they start to flower, the wind will topple them over, or rain or something. And let's see, we have our herb area here. These herbs, we've got some dill and sage and thyme and parsley, rosemary, chives, cilantro. So looking nice looking parsley here. Some dill here. Looks like it's ready to start flowering here, so that needs to be trimmed back. So we want to always cut the fresh herb off the top, the fresh growth, so that it then continues to branch out. So if you cut at the node, like down here, that's the extent of that. And then around over this way here we have, let's see, calla lilies starting to produce a flower or two, and then little callas that just are starting to come up here. Some more geraniums here. They've already flowered. These geraniums have already flowered one cycle, and I've just deadheaded them all back to they'll pop a bunch of new flowers out here soon. Beautyberry here, it's got some flowers on all the stems, these little tiny flowers. And these will produce all the little berries on where each of these flowers are. So in a couple of months we'll have all these little colorful berries all over this thing, something for the birds to eat. And then our hydrangeas. So the sun just hit these now, just a few minutes ago. So the leaves will start to wilt on these in the hot sun, like they do every day in the sun. But you know, they're a finicky plant, but they're beautiful. I like them a lot. Got these here. Nice. And so there's 3 different varieties right here in the front. And these are an interesting flower type here, where it's like the outer petals open, and then the inner one, they slowly unravel toward the center of the flower over time. It's just a very neat look versus the more traditional, what we're mostly accustomed to seeing is this type here. It's like all in one flower. Then out back here we have the oak leaf, which is right here. The flowers on these are fading, but they're very decorative just the way they are. Big, you know, and all of these really, I like to see them after the flowers are faded, they start to dry out and they just become more decorative. You could leave them there all winter or cut them, bring them into the house even after they've dried out. So that's the look across the garden and the lounging dogs. What can I say?